Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, June 30th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread for today? First card we are starting our day off with today, Ace of Wands in its reversal. Why? Because one of the things we are seeing right now, and we were just discussing this as I was giving a recap prior to beginning the reading, we are seeing that there's a lot of work and energy and effort that is being put into taking manifestation goals and bringing them into the tangible space right now. Today could be demarcated by a lot of that effort, a lot of that energy, putting one foot in front of the other, if you will. This is also helping with a lot of any of that energetic frustration that we were seeing around situations and circumstances, particularly for the energy right now deep within the heart of the divine union frequency. One of the things that we saw was occurring right now was experiencing energy that feels that's both positive and productive versus experiencing some spaces and places that may feel like a little bit of a surprise. Some of that surprise energy we see is happening right now for energy within the divine union, potentially around circumstances and situations that you may be bringing something forth to someone from a place of positivity and joy, but is not necessarily being received as such. Is this the energy that is recalibrating in reactivity to seeing someone be in that reactive fashion? No, because a lot of that energy is navigating that not from a state of reactivity, but from a state of energetic compassion. That observational point of allowing time to kind of work in one's favor, recognizing that if there's something that you're bringing forth to someone that they're now only just experiencing, and having to articulate to them that something that they're just experiencing has been present for quite some time, it's only just now coming into their own reality. A lot of that energy is, again, staying fortified and determined in terms of their own resolve, because that isn't even the energy that feels like they're implementing a change here. This is the energy that feels like they are sharing the fact that a change has occurred. So when we're moving in that modality, we were even talking about the fact there may be a feeling of a lot of miscommunications right now in relationality to articulating to someone what can be changed, almost someone encountering an experience or a conversation from a point of trying to energetically change an opinion versus someone articulating upon what they believe is firm fact. So that even here we see is a little bit of that energy, which is requiring some of that compassion, because looking at someone and saying, like, I can hold space for where you are. I can hold compassion to what it brings up in you, but it can't necessarily change the direction that one is moving. Like, that is some of that determination resolve that we see is coming through, and it does feel a little bit like that gentle but tough love. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into the divine union, this is a lot of energy that is really feeling like they're moving deeper into the divine union very quickly. Right? And why is that happening right now? Because we said that for a lot of this energy, doing that hard work first, operating from a state of clarity, authenticity. This is energy that immediately built trust in the moment of being able to do so, because in the moment of articulating what their manifestation goals are, they effectively release the energetic outcome of receiving them. Because what happened in those modalities right now, this may even now be energy that feels like their commitment towards one another is starting to become more solid, because this is the energy that, again, actually did create that commitment between one another in the moment of articulating and amplifying what existed between them, right? Because in the moment that the energy was able to articulate upon what their manifestation goals were, that was the energetic point wherein they were able to recognize that sense of prioritizing from a point of compassion, what one can energetically expect from another that surpass their own needs and their own desires, even at the time of first coming together. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, being able to have that clarity, that easement point, that's why it almost feels like that sense of inevitability, because this is the energy, even if they haven't put words to it yet, they don't need to put words to it, because it's something that is present. It is something that cannot be like it doesn't require words, because it's feeling and experiencing the change in the tangible that may even be giving clarity in the spaces or places where something was just words in the past, but never reached that tangibility point. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, a lot of this work may be amplified by a lot of new energetic connections that are taking form right now. So this could be new encounters, new opportunities, new relationships. But what's really important about this is a lot of the energy in separation facilitating forward on those points right now, feeling a lot of excitement and determination as they do so. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 4 of Wands in its upright. So this is, again, really beautiful energy to see, because we're seeing that excitement. We're seeing that expectation. We're seeing a lot of planning right now, particularly for a lot of the energy in separation. A lot of these plans being put into practice. A lot of that work in terms of facilitating forward in this way is that work of energetic determination, is that work of amplification. So not only, and this is what's so valuable about this right now for the energy and separation, this isn't even just speaking towards that like that expectation. This isn't energy that's just kind of like leaning back on their heels, if you will, in terms of like the direction that they're headed in. This is the energy that is literally putting their action in towards their manifestation goals. That has been a lot of the breakthrough that we've been seeing and recognized has been occurring for energy and separation. That ability of understanding and feeling the change within, that almost like is moving them in the direction of what they know is for them. And a lot of that feels like that sense of excitement, because for some of the energy, it's almost that feeling like your manifestation is like so close you can taste it, or it almost feels like you're in the energetic frequency that you would be were you in a relationship. While for masculine, and because this is the energy right now in separation that isn't looking for a connection to change their own energetic frequency, this is the energy that's working on cultivating that within the self to be able to expand upon it with the potential counterpart. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is that same energetic experience. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, that excitement, that a moment, it is a little bit of that surprise energy here. Because what happened, if these are energies, we even see that a lot of the energy here may have affirmed to each other that desire or need to take it slow. Not that feeling of rushing. But this is almost the energy that's starting to feel that inevitability that's happening here. Because like when something feels so easy, when something feels so right, when something feels so comfortable, it almost starts to feel silly not to just kind of like let that move forward, if you will. So we see even now a little bit of this energy coming into divine union is reconsidering their own timelines, if you will. Because this is almost that element of surprise that we're seeing in relationality, to not having expected something to be able to be as like productive or as positive as one is experiencing it. So again, a lot of joyousness here. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union, that same sense of energetic arrival is very much still present here. What is that energetic arrival that we're effectively seeing? For a lot of the energy within the divine union frequency right now, that is that feeling of, again, recognizing even now, and that's just that observational point. This is energy that even if they're navigating rough waters with some energy as they continue to move forward here, there is that need or that determination of hoping that time will allow for that easement point. Because remember how what we talked about over the last couple of days in relationality to some of that reactivity. A lot of the energy recognizes within the divine union that their own manifestations coming forward right now is that energetic surprise. So what does one do? Like, it's almost like when you drop like a rock into the water, like there's those waves. This is the energy that is being very like discerning and being patient as they kind of recognize that ripple effect to kind of allow for that point of peace energetically. That is almost, again, that sense of compassion, but one of determination at the same time, right? You can be compassionate, but also you're not necessarily changing something here. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 4 of Pentacles in its upright. Remember what I said about that resolve, that energy of resolution coming through, because this is the resolve of the energy that stays very focused, that maintains their own energetic manifestation to a certain extent, because a lot of this energy right now is taking a bit of a wait and see approach, right? This is the energy that, again, isn't moving forward because, or for the sake of the reactiveness of the energy around them, so much as it is that sense of internal peace, or that sense of feeling that point of peace. So we see even now some of that satisfaction that's coming through. It's very grounding. This is a lot of that Cancer energy that's starting to come into the focus, because it's that feeling of, again, certainty, of certitude here, but also that feeling of expectation. So a lot of potential firming up on plans right now. But what's interesting about this is those plans were already firm. This is almost like the reaffirming to others that those plans are still solid and intact. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're effectively seeing at this time is that moment of surprise, because this is almost the energy coming into divine union that had been taking more of a wait and see approach in relationality to whether something was going to move forward in such a capacity. But what did we say was happening over the last couple days for a lot of this energy that is coming into divine union right now? If these were spaces and places where there was that point of recognizing that the reason you were able to go forward with someone was because you had that meeting point in terms of parts of your manifestation that you recognized that you both shared. Something about that now, that easement, it's almost like those parts are getting larger. That is the blending of the spheres, if you will. So what we're recognizing in those modalities right now is that ability of feeling like something is building in momentum naturally. It's not even something that you feel like you need to it feels almost more like something that you would have to tangibly stop, as opposed to just kind of allow it to flourish. This is why even now there's a little bit of that reorientation that's occurring, because for the energy in that modality, this is almost like that energy of feeling that sense of something that is happening quickly, that even then feels a little jarring, right? While for masculine and feminine that is in separation, one of the things that we're effectively seeing right now is this is the energy that is holding firm to their manifestation goals as they continue forward from this time. And I gotta say that for some of this energy, this felt like a little bit of some some difficulty here. This felt like the amplification of a bit of a choice, especially if if these were energies that are moving away from an energetic connection due to a lack of an ability to articulate or assess what a manifestation goal is. Even some of that energy right now potentially feels like some of that connection is still trying to reach out in that way, right? But again, if there's an energy that's trying to come towards someone from a place of passion, but without articulating a manifestation goal, this is almost the energy that feels the firm resolve in terms of really recognizing and seeing something for what it is that is reaffirming their own commitment of going forward. So we see even now it's something, that energy that almost feels like, again, there's an opportunity there to make an energetic connection, but the energy isn't weighing the desire to make the energetic connection. Rather, whether there is a clarity in terms of where something is ultimately going, or assessing if you and another have the same aspirations in terms of what that connection will bring forth. So we just see even now, that's at that point where we see a lot of new potential connections are potentially starting to take root right now. I'm seeing that there's a lot of energy right now that may be making those new connections because of this path work in really holding firm to their own manifestation goals, even in the wake of something that felt like a very passionate connection that was trying to hold them in place. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the 4 of Cups in its reversal. That amplification, that focus point of choice right now, it feels very strong. It feels very like that, like all we've been seeing. And again, it's like I describe this, if you catch the article over on my Substack describing the energy this week as like the firming of a crab shell, right? Like when a crab like molts and comes into that shell, that firming, right? A lot of this energy right now is building into that sense of feeling strength, because this is the energy that recognizes and identifies that the longer that they're able to maintain that, the stronger they feel the energetic bond is, right? Because this is the energy within the divine union that values and prioritizes the bond between the counterparts above all else. And so even in that modality, we're seeing even here that that's that moment of celebration, even if there is something that feels like it's somewhat a little more volatile around it, because it's effectively the identification point of a choice being made. And so when choices are made, that ability of recognizing and identifying the reactivity of a choice, again, it's like that feeling of like a stone that's dropped into the water. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into the divine union frequency, this is the energy that more and more is choosing the counterpart. Because, and this is why it almost feels somewhat inevitable, because if this is the energy that is able to facilitate and move towards someone with a state of clarity and joy, and that joy is just abundant and that joy just grows, then this isn't even the energy that feels like they're making a choice in that way. If they feel like that feeling is mutual, then this is that expansion point wherein a lot of energy right now may be starting to move into, I want to say, solidifying commitments, taking something that was happening in the tangible space and starting to articulate it in a way that makes it feel more solid, because we see a lot of confidence and security coming through at the same time that we're recognizing a lot of closure that is occurring. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, a lot of this energy in separation is feeling that same sense of resolve and determination. The resolve and determination, though, is prioritizing the manifestation goal above all things, the desired partnership, the desired relationship model above all things, even in the face of what is now being looked back at from a past perspective as an energy that was trying to potentially build a passionate connection without clarity. Fifth card in our 5-card spread, before we start getting clarity on these cards right now, is 3 of Pentacles. A lot of that resolve, a lot of that determination, a lot of that energetic firmness here. There's a lot of this like, did I stutter energy that we see that is entering a lot of these energetic connections right now. For the energy and separation, this change that you're experiencing right now may have to feel like your own resolve, your own determination. Because if this is energy that is holding their manifestation goal above all other things, prioritizing that manifestation goal, even in the face of passionate temptation, then this is the energy that's almost looking at it like that. Because this isn't energy that's looking at someone that's trying to build a passionate connection with them and going, well, they don't want to tell me what their manifestation goals are. Maybe I can change that. No, this is the energy saying it's there or it's not. It's present or it's absent. This isn't the energy that's internalizing an external problem. This is the energy that's observing it as such. And the ability to observe it as an external circumstance is allowing the energy to move forward and to build towards what they know is stable, because this is the energy that's reaffirming to themselves in separation that the only way you can build a solid relationship is from a strong foundation. So this is the energy that's almost seeing that manifestation goal as such. It's like walking up to someone with the blueprint. And either someone's willing to show you their blueprint, someone's willing to articulate upon what their blueprint is, or someone's not. And so that's just the energy that's like, if it's not there, it's almost like someone coming towards you and without a blueprint and just trying to stick around or be near you without articulating. The energy, again, feels that sense that time is working in their favor, because this is the energy that's not sticking around and waiting for something there to change. That is the energy that is just observing the state of something at the moment that they encounter it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that feels like they're finding that. Like I gotta say, there's a lot of energy right now coming into divine union. They're like, I think this might be the person. Like, this is like a lot of energy going, I think this might be my person. Because, and I need to stress this isn't energy that's looking at someone who's like doesn't fit the roster and going, that's my person. Like, I can change them. This is the energy that articulated upon what they desired with each other. But what's happening right now? What they desire with each other is expanding. Why is what they're desiring with each other expanding? Because if the things that they desired initially at the onset were so easily achieved, were so natural, were so clear, it's almost like it creates that like lubricant. It just makes something so easy. This is almost energy that already feels like they've navigated and reached that manifestation goal. And so now it's that moment that the manifestation goal is expanding, and it's expanding in what the energy desires or sees with one another. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union, a lot of that energy that we're effectively seeing at this time is the energy that is coming into divine, that is deep within the divine union, navigating any situations or circumstances wherein they are recognizing and identifying that when they come into that point of building into resolve, when they come into that point of sharing their choice with others, that there is that moment, like we said, of relinquishing the energetic outcome, if you will, and almost saying now to the energy that's feeling that way, we're not moving in that way for your benefit. This isn't something that is up for debate, right? This is the energy that's almost articulating the energy around them. This is just an amplified, like what you are receiving is not offered, is not something that is subject to an opinion. It is the articulation of a fact. This isn't energy that's saying like there's a hope and aspiration here of something occurring. This is almost the energy saying to someone, you're taking a personal opinion over something that is. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Wands in its reversal and our Four of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify. We've got the Star energy here. So again, one of the things that we appreciate, this is going to have a bit of a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, a lot of this work, if you will, it has a lot to do with the sense of, again, the prioritization. And what we are identifying that could be happening right now for some of the masculine energy deep within the divine union frequency is recognizing that if this is energy wherein, again, you're moving with a counterpart and you're prioritizing that counterpart, if there's energy around you that seems like they're taking something personally at the time that they receive that, you can see the impossible situation that potentially puts masculine energy in, that's utilizing their powers of observation, because that's almost the masculine energy recognizing in that moment that someone is taking the prioritization of another individual in someone else's life energetically, personally. And when that occurs, that's why we even see now that the ability to navigate and mitigate that, it almost requires that sense of compassion, but only to a point. Right? It's almost the observation of something that is there, but not being able to effectively necessarily change that. That's why we said that a lot of the energy right now in that modality is utilizing the hope that time may heal some kind of energetic wound there. While for feminine energy, deep within the divine union, this is a lot of that feeling of energetic security, because a lot of the energy right now deep within the divine union feels like they're in that modality wherein building into a connection where they feel like they can be their most authentic version of self. What's beautiful about that is, again, we spoke even about this because some of the energy right now in separation was going through this. These aren't modalities wherein the feminine feels like they need to necessarily change to be or accommodate the situation or circumstance. These are spaces or places wherein the feminine feels like they can be their most authentic version of self, and that is why these connections typically tend to thrive. And this is why we see even now that the energy recognizing why these changes are occurring, it almost creates that point of insight. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into the divine union frequency, this is why things are moving at such a fast clip. I'm telling you, even now, there could be energy right now that thought that they were trying to move very slowly with someone, and now they're kind of turning around going, I think this might be my person. Why is that happening to a certain extent? Well, specifically due to the fact that we see here that for a lot of this energy, that ability to observe and recognize, if you will, that ability to feel the easement through which you build an energetic connection with a counterpart, this is energy that is, again, at the same time as they're building forward and they're expanding their partnership, they also feel like they're building into that point of healing from the past. This is like the work happening on two different levels, because effectively this is the energy, and again, it is having a different impact depending on where you align masculine or feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy right now, that point of observation is one much like we saw with the energy deep within the divine union frequency, that gift of feeling like one can be their most authentic, robust self and not feeling like one needs to change to suit a circumstance, but building into a connection wherein there's both the clarity in terms of where something is going, but also the satisfaction in relationality to where one is. This is energy that almost feels that point of satisfaction in relationality to a manifestation goal that's almost already arrived. And now it almost feels like the journey in the relationship is a journey inward, because it's allowing you to explore who that authentic self is. While for masculine, again, if this is a framework wherein you and a feminine have the same manifestation goal, then it's almost like that moment that you almost feel like you're building a garden around you both, because again, you may be seeing a part of the feminine that you haven't seen before, because this is the expression of the beauty of a feminine that feels safe enough to be their most robust, authentic, articulate version of self, right? Like this is almost the feminine coming out of their shell, if you will. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, a lot of this energy in separation right now is feeling that sense of confidence as it relates to their own pathwork of going forward, particularly if there were struggles recently, potentially trying to move away from an energetic connection that wasn't giving the clarity that one was seeking, but at the same time being able to articulate upon the why while staying very focused on one's own manifestation goals, and more importantly, not trying to bring someone on board to your manifestation goal if they're not, just almost accepting, if that were occurring, that that's not the same as someone actually sharing a manifestation goal, because a manifestation goal that is shared as in a way to try to preserve a connection isn't a manifestation goal so much as it is a concession. We see even now like a lot of that energy feeling very confident moving forward from this point. For masculine energy, that is the feeling of desiring a feminine that wants the same things that you want. That it isn't going to feel like an energy of a feminine that's conceding to wanting what you want, but truly, authentically desires it. While for the feminine energy, this is that feeling of coming into one's own sense of authenticity. And this is almost the feminine energy that's reaffirming to themselves that if there's something about you being authentic that sends someone running in the other direction, well, then the authenticity is working very well, isn't it? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Wands in combination with our Four of Pentacles. So we have this double four energy, a lot of stability, a lot of foundation here. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Pentacles. Now this bears discussing because we did see that we saw some connections that were reaching a closure point, specifically in relation to circumstances and situations that I need to stress this because this was a bit of that splitting of hairs that we saw that was occurring over the last few days. What we just effectively articulated. Because again, if there were some situations here where at the time of potentially moving away from something or departing from something, only then was a manifestation goal brought forth. A lot of that energy, again, felt the pain of recognizing what they're manifesting, almost feeling like a concession on the part of the person who is delivering it in such a fashion, right? Because that's the difference between saying like, I want something with you, I want to grow something with you, I want to move forward in that direction, versus the energy that's doing saying, I'll change anything to keep you, I'll adjust myself to meet you, I'll do what I have to do. Because one feels like it is joyful, one feels like it is healing, one feels like it is expanding and growing, the other feels like it is hurting, the other feels like someone who's conceding someone, the other feels like something that's like being relinquished. So we see even now a lot of that energy and separation really working to manifest that connection that genuinely feels like they authentically want the same, but not in a mindset that makes it feel like they're giving something up in order to match one's own manifestation goals. And that's not to say that we don't always come into that point of like accommodation, because that's what I'm about to talk about for the energy that's coming into the divine union frequency right now. Because what's happening now is this is energy that's experiencing so much joy with one another, so much clarity, that now there's an adaptability point that's happening. It's something that feels like there's a change that's occurring, but this isn't change that feels from a point of conceding. This is a change that feels like that point of the possibilities that are expanding because you never expected or anticipated to reach that manifestation goal with someone. I told you some of this energy right now coming into divine union is building upon new manifestation goals. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is why the energy may be navigating any situations wherein they're bringing something forth from a place of positivity and it's not being received in kind that way, like with a little bit of an energetic shrug. Because like if these are spaces and places where you're trying to share joy and the joy isn't being shared in that same way, there's not much adaptability in what you can do to change someone's own opinion in that modality, right? Because this isn't the circumstance or situation wherein someone's looking at something and trying to say like, what do we do to bring them on board? This is the energy that, again, we're talking about the authenticity. The difference between someone like grinning and bearing something versus someone ideally like authentically sharing one's happiness and joy. This is almost a bit of energy that feels more relieved if that is being expressed, that it is clear and tangible and observable, as opposed to something that is not that is not in kind. Like this is almost the energy that says like this is the right direction. If someone feels like they need to move away from something, then that is also the right direction because that feels like it is the most compassionate. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Pentacles in combination with another four. We've got 3 4 cards in a row right now. So we've got 3 4 cards here. Our Four of Cups in its reversal. A lot of stability right now coming in. 2 cards coming out right now. Magician in its reversal and our Page of Wands in its upright. So for masculine and feminine energy right now, like I said, the energy right now that is in the divine union frequency, if this is a modality where you're sharing your positivity to those around you and not everybody's taking it in that same vibration, this is the energy that feels, again, like I just said, at least that is something that is authentically seen, right? Because that is almost, again, the energy that is recognizing and identifying that even even in someone else's, and that's why we see now that a lot of that energy is hoping or giving space around those circumstances or situations, because it's almost navigated with the hope that time may allow for a point of healing, like not matching someone in that vibration, but just allowing them to move away in that direction. That's like the amplification of the choice that they themselves are making, that's being like further reaffirmed by the sense of like genuine care that is being navigated in terms of looking towards someone and identifying what they need at that moment. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is a lot of energy that's changing their opinion upon what they might have aspired or desired with a counterpart. Because if these are energies that, again, potentially had that midway meeting point in terms of what they defined or articulated would be what they were trying to manifest together, but suddenly they just feel that breakthrough point. They see all that easement that's coming through. They're feeling that that growing. They're feeling that energetic point in something that's just amplifying and growing larger at this time. This is the energy that is exploring new possibilities. But what's beautiful about this isn't the energy that is feeling compelled to do so for the sake of the energetic connection. This is the energy that wants to grow what they're already building with someone, because they already feel like what they've created has already surpassed their expectations. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, a lot of this work that we're seeing at this time has to do with a lot of this energy that is in separation, that is feeling the amplification of, again, recognizing and identifying how one is changing, how one is moving, what direction that they're going in. And a lot of this path work, energetically, it feels very healing for energy and separation, because this is an energy that is trying to move towards someone with the sense of changing them. This is the energy that's almost saying, I'm moving towards someone that already wants what I want. If I saw someone, if I recognized I was moving towards someone and I see that they don't desire the same things I desire, this is almost the energy that feels like that path work of correction is how some of that healing is coming from their own manifestation. Because this is the energy that recognizes the changes in themselves, that is allowing them to build forward into new authentic connections, because it doesn't require that ability to try to navigate around someone if they don't feel like, if they're in that place of seeming like they don't desire the same things that you yourself desire. It's just more of that sense of navigating around. It's like navigating around them, just steering clear, if you will, right? And this is the energy that's keeping that manifestation goal and allowing it to help them, stay focused, because this is almost like energy that feels like the manifestation is their map. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Cups in its reversal and our Three of Pentacles. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Emperor card. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. I told you, new energetic connections that are potentially, if they're not currently beginning, they're very close to beginning right now. Because what do we see here? Both of these energies, masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Having the confidence to keep their own focus in relationality to what their manifestation goals are. This is the energy that is very close to potentially encountering one another, because they're recognizing and they're making the changes from within. For feminine, that feels like that ability of being as authentically one's own self as possible. Because this is almost the energy that says, by being my most authentic self, I attract the energy that desires and aspires that within me, right? Right, that's almost like the feminine that's feeling that call to be their most authentic version of self, because that is almost like that energy that feels like it's attracting the energy that would desire and aspire the same. While for masculine, this ability of really wanting to build with a feminine, being very clear in terms of what you want. If you just went through the experience of having done that and it didn't necessarily lead to what you aspired and desired, even now feeling that confidence and not taking something energetically personally, but potentially recognizing that that was an experience wherein the feminine may have been holding on to too much of a past energy and wasn't able to articulate about their ability to manifest going forward. Both of these energies right now are feeling, to a certain extent, like they're moving away from a connection where there would have been a tangible, passionate connection, but there wasn't enough clarity in terms of where something was going or what direction it was moving in. So both of these energies are feeling very secure in their resolve right now because they're using that manifestation goal as their map. How else can these energies and the map that they have is leading them towards each other. So we see even now, like a lot of this is that Cancer energy, because we've got the soft and the hard here that is manifesting forward, that is leading to potential new energetic connections that are built upon determination, vulnerability, and resolve. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now while for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's starting to feel like there's some of this energy that's starting to have this dawning realization that they may have felt like they found their energetic person. Because if this is energy that, again, had that clarity and said, okay, this is what's between us, but now like that is just so easy and it feels like it's growing. This is the energy that doesn't feel like it's change. It's requiring them to change the self. It feels like this is energy that's becoming more of themselves in proximity to the counterpart. Because these aren't energies, this is energy that is being inspired by the counterpart. This is the energy that feels like they're rising into like their true form, if you will, by being in connection with their counterpart, especially if everything there feels like that easement, that yes, that more of that, please. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Star card in combination with our Six of Pentacles for the masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union. This is why so much of that energy right now is navigating anything that feels like more fractious at a time that they feel like they are laying new ground or building a new strong foundation with a point, like with a bit of patience. Because this is, again, the energy that is trying to articulate to some of the energy in that modality that what they're bringing forth isn't something that is debatable or questioning. And in fact, that ability to potentially try to question something that is firm, that is solid, like a lot of the energy is feeling very kind of, I want to say, if that's energy that's like recognizing or feeling like someone is drifting away from them at that moment, a little bit of that energy is probably, it may even be feeling like that moment being like that's probably for the best right now, because that's almost the amplification, if you will, of energy. You know, I'll put it this way. When we feel very secure in a decision and someone brings it forth in such a way that it makes us, that seems to be questioning that decision, like we see even now a little bit of that energy utilizing a bit of path work and perseverance, not to let that be a volatile moment, because it feels a little bit like something about that experience almost hurts because it feels like it's telling. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Star card and our Six of Pentacles. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with this beautiful Three of Swords in its reversal. It's really giving a lot of that modality right now, that what feels like it can heal can stick around. It's really kind of that. It really does give that vibration of almost saying, like, if it's healing, then it's positive. If it's healing, it's sharing in that joy, which is why we see so much of this energy right now. I'm going to say it again. If this is energy that is in divine union, sharing their joy with others, and it isn't being received as such, this is why the energy isn't necessarily running to restore anything that is having that type of reactivity, because there's that profound difference, like we said, between someone sharing that same optimism versus taking that into a space of feeling like it's a concession. You know what I mean? Like that feeling of like disappointment, that feeling of like, like it's almost like the energy says like the space is like this, like some things can only be healed at an energetic distance. So the energy is almost saying if space is what is required, then space is what is desired, then space is what will be given, right? Because that's almost like the way you have to navigate those circumstances or situations. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy, basically, how do I explain this? This is why these relationships are moving forward much quicker than may have been anticipated. Because what we're effectively seeing at this time is this is energy. I told you, it's not just the fact that there's an easement and a simplicity between how easy it is for this energy to move towards one another in this capacity. It's the fact that the energy feels like they're healing in the process. They're becoming more themselves and they're healing because, again, it's something about being able to be in that place of authenticity that feels like that breath of fresh air. This is like the energy that feels like they can breathe around each other. They don't have to put up that false sense of self. So that's why we see even now a lot of that energy maybe feeling a lot of affirmation and even adjustment in terms of what they had immediately expected from an energy versus now like what they're effectively like really like. This is the energy that says this person's good for me. I'm my best self when I'm with them, right? Like a lot of that energy effectively there. Continuing to get clarity, while the energy right now in separation, this is the energy that is healing because they see how they're navigating and handling things in different ways. If this is energy that is departing from a situation that they recognize they would have stayed in a lot longer, this is the energy that's recognizing and identifying the breakthrough that's being received in their own ability to prioritize their healing, because this is the energy that recognizes that holding on to their manifestation goal is a part of their healing process. So we see even now like a lot of that energy feeling very satisfied in doing so and feeling again like they're on the verge of kind of like being energetically truly ready to meet a counterpart in that same vibration. Continuing to get clarity between our Six of Pentacles, Magician in its reversal, and our Page of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is why the energy is moving away from anything that didn't feel like it was in alignment to them. And even now we see that there still may be some hurdles around that. If this energy was like coming into connection with someone, didn't get that clarity and is now just moving onwards. Specifically, again, for feminine energy, if this is a moment or modality wherein feminine separated from an energetic connection because they didn't have that clarity of manifestation, feminine was almost like recognizing and being and still feeling some of that energy trying to call them back. But it's even in this modality now that the feminine's like they can feel the confusion it creates, right? Like this is almost the energy saying the passionate connection is not worth the energetic confusion it creates. because that's like the energy of the feminine that says, like, the passionate connection, while it may feel good in the moment, it creates too much, it takes up too much bandwidth. It takes up too much of the, it's like it occupies all of the feminine's energetic force to have to navigate it, because the feminine doesn't have any idea what's occurring at any moment during it, right? So this is almost the feminine that, like, is reconsidering their perception on those types of energetic connections, because they recognize and they remember the state that it puts them in when they're operating in a construct that isn't clarifying. But this is also the energy of the feminine that recognizes the difference of the feminine in those moments in the past, internalizing an external problem. Now the feminine energy is just avoiding that problem because that's not their manifestation goal. While for the masculine energy right now, this is that modality that articulates the difference between the desire to build around a feminine, right? The desire to build around a feminine versus the desire to build with a feminine. So this is, again, this isn't the masculine that's looking or feeling like they want a feminine that feels like they have to concede towards what the masculine is hoping to build with them. This is the masculine that is hoping for a feminine that shares that same eagerness, that shares that same excitement, that feels more like, again, that collaborative moment of building together, as opposed to the energy of finding someone that's just kind of, following in the direction you're going, but not necessarily from a point of clarity, right? So we see even here that these are both energies that are feeling very affirmed in terms of what they want, and utilizing that as the path work to help recognize and identify where they're effectively energetically going. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is why, if these are circumstances and situations wherein there were energetic connections that were being made, and even here, there's that modality of sharing joy with others, like expanding and articulating upon that, and it isn't received in the same vibration. This is why the energy isn't necessarily arguing the point. They're not trying to come into a modality of convincing another about the determination of moving towards one another, because that's what it effectively energetically feels like for a lot of the energy in this modality, right? Like, and a lot of this is the clarity of the masculine, recognizing and identifying that, like, some of the energy around them, again, masculine in divine union, recognizing the adjustment point that someone may be experiencing, that they're taking something, if someone around the masculine is taking a moment where masculine is articulating that they're prioritizing their connection with the feminine, this is the masculine recognizing that could be something about the relationship that they have with with outside energy shifting in such a way that someone feels like they're vying for someone's attention, right? It's just that moment of them observing that. While for the feminine energy in this modality, this is almost the same. This is almost the energy within divine union, being able to really discuss, like, the why as to why that's occurring, because this isn't energy that's effectively going to the source to inquire about it. It's more of that energy that's trying to articulate and define it from afar, because, again, it's almost like one of those things where it's like, this feels like it's so close to home that they almost doubt they would have the right, it's almost like they would doubt they would have the authentic expression of the reasons why, because the volatility itself is so questionable or confusing, right? Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, a lot of this energetic equivalent that we're seeing has to do with again, well, we already went across those, so we're going to go now, moving on to the next cards. Clarification now coming through, because this is like where we really want to get towards it. Between our Page of Wands in its upright, our Magician card in its reversal, and our Emperor in its reversal. So there's a lot of people here, right? Can I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with more people. King of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union. Like, this is, again, and I'm even seeing this for a lot of the energy within the divine union, the ability of energy right now to bring their manifestation forward to those around them. It's like almost like they're seeing a lot of energy like react to that in a way that feels like it is, I want to say, in some places and spaces, very positive, right? Very amplifying, very supportive energetically. While as there are some energies here that may be feeling or experiencing some of the opposite at the same time, which is almost like the energy that's taking something personally. And at that moment, it's almost like seeing someone's emotional or energetic expression towards something. It reorients a lot of those external relationships. So we see even now, like a lot of that struggle point that may be happening in those places where something here is less ideal, because it almost feels like the amplification in recognizing how someone feels that you might not have been aware of until the moment that something has changed, right? And that's almost why some of this feels like an impossibility vector, because it's almost trying to say to someone, like, it wasn't done in a way that was trying to upset or to confound someone, but instead it's just kind of the nature of a situation or scenario, right? It's delicate, but again, there's a little bit of this energy here that feels like it's unavoidable, right? So that's why we see even now, it's a little like a bit of that like bittersweet energy around the divine union frequency, because it almost feels like that modality wherein one can do everything that one can, but you can't necessarily help in that moment, because it's someone having having a reaction to something that like wasn't like they weren't part or party of in like, you know what I mean? Like it's literally like that's what happens when someone takes something energetically personally. And this may even be a lot of energy discussing that with those around them to try to get that point of like, you know, I like literally I almost see this as the energy now moving towards energy outside the divine union to get their take, because like it's almost that point of saying, like, getting that affirmation of saying like, yeah, there's not much you could do in that situation, right? Well, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency, this is why the energy, there may be a lot of energy right now that is potentially like, I want to say like locking something in or reaffirming or making some kind of like dedicated offer energetically to one another, because this is almost the energy that feels themselves shifting and changing within the connection. But it's not like the negative shift. It's not like being in a relationship being like, who am I becoming? Like this is not who I am. This is the energy being like, I'm finally feel like I can be myself. This is almost the dedication that is happening in those energetic like unions right now, because it's almost looking towards a counterpart and saying, I can be my most authentic self with you, but not only can I be my most authentic self, you inspire me to be an even better version of that. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that it feels like that vitality point in separation is specifically in the moment of not overly internalizing what you're experiencing outside the self, just seeing what isn't for you. But when you're moving with the template and knowing what is, that doesn't feel as overwhelming, because it almost feels like, again, like your picker's working. Like it feels like your picker's working. Right? And so a good picker is going to assess and analyze like what's not for you, because and that is how the picker will be able to find what feels like it is right. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Swords in its reversal and our High Priestess in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the Five of Swords in its reversal. I love to see this card here, because this is, again, this is the feminine energy that is getting closure from the past, because this is feminine energy looking at the past experiences and going, never again. Like this is the feminine energy looking back on past experiences wherein potentially they tried to build something strong and stable out of a passionate connection that did not provide clarity as to what it is. And this is the energy of feminine going, I'm not doing that again. I know what that experience brings. And this is the energy that, again, wouldn't want to over experience that again, but is utilizing here is like the gift of experiencing that, because you're going, at least now I can see it. Like this is the energy that's not internalizing it. This is the energy that is prescribing it. This is the energy that says, when I make a passionate connection with energy and without clarity that's brought forth, it scrambles here. It just makes all of this have to like figure, like it doesn't allow for any ability to try to manifest anything, because you're too busy. Your manifestation drops to the ground and all you're doing is trying to suss out what something is, instead of trying to build towards what it is that you aspire to have. And so this is the energy that's almost saying, in order to find, like this is an energy saying, I don't need to become something other than I'm not. I need to become more of myself, and recognize that, like, steering around energy in that modality, not trying to like argue, not trying to give the pros and cons, not trying to sell something, not trying like it, you don't like, it's like the energy is, the feminine is just like, if it's either there or it's not. They either want it or they don't. And the minute I start navigating with someone that doesn't seem like they want it, all I'm doing is I'm just like handing them the keys and saying, here's my manifestation goals. I'm going anywhere you want to go with it, because I'm clearly saying that I value the connection to that passionate connection beyond anything else that I might want to potentially do, right? So this is the feminine energy going, I'm not doing that. While for masculine energy right now in separation, even now, if there's a feminine that's trying to come towards a masculine, but again, it feels like it's just from the passion vector. It doesn't feel like there's that clarity in terms of like where something's going. This is the masculine that's almost looking towards that feminine energy from a point of compassion now, because this is almost the masculine energy looking towards the feminine and saying, you're still healing. I don't think you're ready to move forward right now, because you're not able to articulate what it is that you want. And it feels like you're trying to like surrender whatever that is at all costs just to build a passionate connection. And so this is the masculine energy almost like coming into a place of integrity, saying, I can't build forward with you in this capacity, right? But both of these energies getting closer and closer towards their potential counterpart along the way. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energetic equivalent we see right now, it's that and look at you just sitting there in your coming into divine union, and suddenly you're feeling a lot more adaptable about those manifestation goals. But I need to stress this is not, and this is even the energy saying this is not energy that is adapting their manifestation goals because they feel like they have to. This is the energy that is adapting their manifestation goals because they didn't think or didn't know what it would feel like to be in this modality with someone. And now it's that feeling of anything that could be possible. So it's not coming from a state or space of, anxiety. It's coming from a place of love. because this is the energy that, if this is energy that was holding on to manifestation goals in the past, that they recognize some of them may have been brought up more from fear than from true desire. This is the energy recalibrating their own manifestation goals without that fear overlaying their dreams. While for masculine and feminine, deep within the divine union frequency, this is why even now, if there's energy here that someone, like if there's energy surrounding any of the divine union that feels like they're taking the divine union, sharing their manifestation goals personally, this is almost the energy that's like, say what you will about it, but then that's all that can be said. There's nothing else that can be done. It's like, it's giving a little bit of that like speak now or forever hold your peace kind of energy. It really is. Because that's the energy that says like either deal with it or like it doesn't change it, right? It just doesn't change anything. It can be heard, it can be navigated. But it's almost that moment of saying, express it so that it can be healed. Listen to what you're saying. It's like literally like I can see a lot of the energy within the divine union going, can you hear yourself right now? Like it's almost like asking someone to speak so that they can hear, like, it's like you ever notice that sometimes someone like can talk themselves right into seeing something they need to see. It's a little bit of that type of energy, which is being like, almost like I told you, the energy talking to other energy that may be talking to people about this and being like, I hope they can see this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like a lot of that energy, like there's a lot of that unification energy of energy trying to like come. It's like, this is now the energy that is trying to help the energy that they feel is in the positive vibration by like, this is almost energy that's trying to help the energy in the divine union with the energy that may not be in that place of like positivity for it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between, here, look at this. I told you, do you see how close these new energetic unions are right now? Do you see these two together? Do you see these two together? Like, it's right here. So we've got even now clarification between our High Priestess and its reversal and the King of Cups. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Moon card. I mean, this is the only thing about some circumstances or situations. Like I said, for the energy within the divine union, if there's energy that is taking the manifestations of the union personally, this is the energy just feels like that point of confusion. And the confusion is a mixture of not being able to do much about something, but also even in that moment, suddenly being very confused about what was ever going on with those energetic connections in the first place. So we see even now that that's a lot of the energy within the divine union, soothing one another in the face of some of that confusing energy, right? Because it's like, it's almost like bearing that sadness, seeing something that is confounding. It's heavy, right? But this is also like, this is the energy that even in that moment of observing it, they reaffirm their energetic commitment towards one another. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this energetic equivalent, if you will, is in relationality to suddenly this energy is getting confused about their manifestation goals. Because again, if there was something about their manifestation goals that they recognized was different than the counterparts, like that like even now it feels like something that isn't a part of that manifestation goal, it almost feels like that barrier. But this is why the energy coming into divine union right now is introspecting upon their manifestation goals to really ask themselves if the manifestation goal is what they truly desire in the present, or if that was that past version of self that created the manifestation goal when you were a bit overwhelmed or doubting yourself, because now this energy is changing each other. And so their manifestation goals are changing. So this is almost that moment of trying to say to someone, I'm not changing my manifestation goals because I feel like I have to. I'm changing them because I'm becoming someone I wasn't at the time that I first created them, right? So that's kind of that beautiful energy in which we don't change for another. We change because we become our best version of selves in the presence of each other. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is the energy that is going through some of that mourning around any circumstances or situations that weren't necessarily ideal. Because even now we see that some of this energy feels like they're letting go. They're getting closure right now on experiences from the past. But the experience of closure they're receiving is recognizing their own changes, doing something in a different way, having different standards. So this is almost the energy that feels like the closure is coming from past situations by looking at themselves and saying, I'm no longer the person that would have stayed around for that. I'm no longer the person. I went through something that informed me, not just on what I desire, but what I won't, what I don't, what isn't formed, like what needs to be changed from within. Because this is the energy in separation that feels like that internal change has happened. And it's in the moment that we recognize that we're doing something in a different way that we almost have to look back on that past version of self with like a little bit of that sympathy, a little bit of that understanding, a little bit of that patience, and saying, I couldn't see something then, but I'm going to forgive myself because I can see it now and I'm doing something differently that I couldn't see back then. Final card for today's spread between our Five of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Moon card and its upright. One card to clarification coming through right now with our Page of Swords in its reversal. What's really beautiful about this is there's a lot of energetic surrender that's happening right now. In separation, that surrender is the forgiveness of the past self. It's the forgiveness of the past self. It is the forgiveness of looking back towards the past self and saying, I'm moving in a way that I didn't move before, but I'm also doing that because I could not see something. And again, we always have to look at the past with that sense of compassion, because we cannot judge the present. You can't judge the past self if they couldn't see or recognize something that you see now. The minute that we look back and we see a past version, or if we see something that we now couldn't see before, is the moment that we start to hold space. That's like when we talk about that inner child healing. I'm going to say it again. Inner child doesn't mean that healing point from when you were 6 or 2. Inner child healing starts from the moment that you can look back on the past version of self and say, you poor goofball. You couldn't see that back then. I can see it now. Because you're almost looking at the past version of self akin to one would look at a child. And a child, we educate, we hold space for, and we forgive. Because when a child is unruly, it is often because they do not understand. So when we move, this is a lot of the energy right now, having a lot of that compassion for that past version of self that is allowing for closure, because it's in the modality of recognizing how one is moving in a different way that you're effectively healing it, because it's in a way you're moving in that way because you're protecting that inner child. You're saying, I'm going to do what I know would have protected you in that past moment now. While for the masculine and feminine energy right now, and this energy is charged and ready now, even in that point of vulnerability, to potentially make new energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into the divine union frequency, this is the energy that is feeling the vulnerability of love, that is softening the edges of what they were manifesting. Because this is the energy that's now finding themselves daydreaming about the possibilities, maybe even shocking themselves in terms of what they're imagining. Because this is that modality that's like moving into that state or space of like wishful thinking that often starts to come into that space of where we start to lay our manifestations, because this is the energy that's also allowing themselves to feel the safety to dream with someone. And so we see even now, like that's a little bit of that energy of the dreams becoming the reality. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming, that is deep within the divine union, this is the energy of, again, if there's energy around the divine union that is taking something that the divine union's bringing forward joyfully, personally, this is the energy that's going through that grieving process and almost letting someone go there. Like they're letting them go their own way, because it's almost that moment of saying, like, you know, if the door's always open, if that changes, but you don't want to keep someone staying somewhere if they're in that vibration that they don't desire or aspire to be there, right? So like that's a little bit of that energy that's holding space for one another as they recognize and navigate those situations. But it's very vulnerable, right? And the energy within the divine union frequency could be articulating like how much that hurts towards one another, because they feel like they don't have the ability to express it to those around them. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Two of Cups. A lot of this energy right now just working and built upon connection. Like a lot of focus right now in partnership. And the reason this is bottom of the deck is because a lot of this conversation that we're seeing is occurring across all of the frequencies has to do specifically with the hard work that is required in order to maintain a healthy energetic connection. For masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union, there's a lot of, I told you, a lot of this observation of what may be happening in reactivity point to the formation of that energetic connection and the ability to manifest forward from that point. This isn't energy that feels like it is, this isn't energy that feels like they're separating for that reason, but it's energy that like observes that their focus and concentration on each other like is either being energetically supported like in a big way, like and again the expansion point of that harmony, or it's experiencing spaces and places of vibration that is moving away from something because the seeing someone in that state is creating a personal reaction in someone, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's recalibrating what their manifestation goals are. There could even be a moment of someone changing, but this is an energy that feels like they have to change. This is the energy that feels like that sense of like suddenly wanting to change, because it feels like that moment of finding what you're looking for, where suddenly everything is suddenly possible that you thought was not possible before. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the ability to surrender whatever needs to be surrendered in order to facilitate the right energetic connection. And this is the energy that's like almost saying to themselves that to do so doesn't come into that state of modification. It's that moment of the energy, again, working with the universe and saying, if I want a connection like beyond, like that matches what I desire, I have to be ready and willing to let go of what isn't that. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I'll never slide into your inbox and tell you I have a very important message only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website, so I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple updates for today. Thank you to everybody who joined us for our last tarot class on the High Priestess. Our next live class will be held on July 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that class will focus on a study of the Empress card. If you would like to become a part of that live class program, head over to my Substack, gracestrega.substack.com. Your subscription will grant you access to both the live class as well as the previous class recordings and course materials for all of the previous classes. So far, we've done the Fool, Magician, and High Priestess. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me to ask any questions that you have in relation to what we're studying. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a free mentorship reading with me where we will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey. And I'll give you insight in terms of how to utilize the classes and your own path to the best of your advantage going forward. I try to create these classes so that they be useful to both the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's certainly something there for everyone. So thank you if you're already a part of those classes, and I look forward to seeing you there. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, be sure to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, courses, or giveaways that we may be holding. Speaking of giveaways, we're doing a giveaway right now. If you would like to win a free tarot reading, head over to my Linktree. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you'd like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because every person that you have entered, when I pull the winner, I will be asking them who referred them, and I will be giving away not one but 2 tarot readings to the person who won and to the person who referred them. So I wish you the best of luck in entering, and thank you for your time. Finally, for those clients, I'm very happy to offer that I have a few new offerings that I now offer to my clientele on top of my life path readings. I'm now offering mentorship classes, which can be purchased in a single class or as a class package of 4 mentorship classes, 4 45-minute classes for a month. Those can be focused on whatever area of study that you would like to pursue. I take very limited students for that reason. I'm also offering for my clientele that is seeking more consistent tarot support, weekly tarot insight packages. That's a package of 4 tarot classes, readings, 1 per week, 1 30-minute reading per week, so that you can stay more consistent on where you are on your own personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.